With the CNC Ultimate Collection now on Steam, lots of players have been returning to General Zero, which makes it a great time for me to revamp my tutorials on how to play each of the armies. Today we're going to look at China, or what a lot of players like to call China Vanilla, which just means like China Regular.
I love China.
A lot of people consider this army to be the weakest in the game, and the reason for that is that you can't just make one or two hard-hitting units like a Humvee loaded with missile defenders or quad cannons supported by tunnels and RPGs, or a fully loaded infantry outpost. With China generally, to win against the stronger players, you're going to have to make a wider variety of units. So for example, Gatling tanks, outposts, flamers, MiGs, Helixes, Infernos. You're not going to be able to dodge things like carpet bombers as well as some of the other armies, like you haven't got fast moving Vs where they can just simply move out of the way, or you can't just hide inside of a GLA tunnel.
China.
To add on top of that as well, a lot of units are quite fragile, which leaves little room for error. For example, one wrong move near a GLA tunnel with your MiGs and suddenly you've lost all four of them. Or for example, in your army, you get your ECMs picked off and suddenly SNDVs are running around picking off your entire ground army for free. With all of that said, China in the right capable hands can win a lot of games and dish out some serious damage. So today, in this video, I'm going to cover some of the basics of playing China, some of the basic build orders to get you started in the game, and also some tips and tricks that might help you beat the stronger players.
I just sold an apartment for $15 million to somebody from China.
Okay, so jumping into a map with China Vanilla then, or China Regular. We're going to cover some hotkeys first of all before we jump into a build order. The first thing you're probably going to want to know, you click on your CC, you're going to build a dozer. You can actually queue this up on the loading screen if you know the hotkey for it. Hotkey is D. So I can either click on the CC here and press D, or on the loading screen, you can press D as well, and then when you jump in the game, the dozer will already be queued. It won't have started, but it will already be queued. Next hotkey you're probably going to want to know is if you click on your dozer, you can press R to build a power plant, and you want to build it as close to your dozer as possible. You don't want it moving like all the way over there, for example, because that's just wasted time. The faster you get that power online, the faster you build everything else, like a barracks, for example. So we click on the dozer, we press R, and you can either rotate it like that, or any way like that. You can experiment with it. There's ways that you can place it where the dozer will just go straight up to it like that and just start building it. Whereas other times, maybe depending on the direction you face, Zero is a weird game, but sometimes you can face it a weird way, and your dozer, like that for example, will be moving a little bit, but in certain circumstances, the dozer will spend ages moving around and it will delay your build quite a lot. The next hotkey you probably want to know, you click on your dozer, you're going to press U for supply, and if you want to know what the hotkey is, you can hover over a supply center there, and you can see over on the left hand side, like in this part of the screen, you can see the U on the supply center is highlighted in yellow. That means it's the hotkey. So I'm always going to press U, and I'm going to hold my supply over the supply dock, and I'm going to rotate it whilst it's there. I'm going to try and make it as flat as possible, so that when I place it like here, it's really flat. You see? It's really flat against that edge. And you're going to want to leave about this much space. You're trying to get what we call the perfect supply in Zero. The perfect supply is when you have two trucks, because you're going to have two trucks on every supply. And you don't want them moving at all. It's one of the tricks of China. All the Chinas make another truck. The hotkey for that one is T. We know that because over on the left-hand side there, the yellow letter is the one T. You see how that truck is barely moving? Whereas if we go over here, press U again to build a supply. But this time we're going to do it a little bit too far away like that. And now what you're going to see is the trucks are going to be moving around, and it's going to slow your economy down somewhere in the region of like 30-40%, something like that. And that can be the difference between you getting a propaganda center or a war factory or an extra flamer out a couple of seconds quicker, which could end up meaning you losing the game or winning the game. So you're going to see here now that truck is not going to be able to just reverse a tiny little bit. It's going to have to do a full loop, and that's slowing your economy down. You can test this over and over again and leave the timer going, but trust me, it's going to slow your economy down. In terms of the other hotkeys then, so you've got G for Gatling cannon. It's a good defense. I do recommend it. Maybe against the USA, you can place one here and try and block off the entire entrance. It's a good anti-air unit and good against Vs. Bunkers are also good. Pretty much everything here for China Vanilla has some kind of a use. You're going to press A to get a Warfactory. So one of the common builds in Zerai, you can build 2 war factories, 2 suppliers, double war factory, and you can sell your CC for the extra 1,000 bonus. Otherwise, you won't be able to afford the 2 war factories straight away. And if you're in any doubt about what to make as China Vanilla, pretty much everything from the war factory has some kind of a use. Pretty much no matter what you're against, Get an Outpost is a really good combination against like quad cannons, for example. Only rarely want to be using the Battle Master. You can be using the Troop Crawler against USA fire bases and EMPs. But a Get an Outpost is like a good solid tier 1 army for the China Vanilla. Pretty much no matter what you're against, it's always generally a go-to decent thing to do. Flamers are obviously very good for clearing out buildings. And then when you do get a flamer, you can use the flame wall function as well. So if you like sneak a flamer all the way down the side of the map, remember to look at it when it's actually got to the enemy base. And if you get to the enemy base, start doing a flame wall there when he's got a supply there. You can wreck things. So you can see it's got this feature called Firewall. You can either manually click that and click on the terrain, or I pretty much never ever click that. I use the hotkey again, so I'm pressing F to do a flame wall. Okay, so one other tip to get your build order started quicker is when your dozer comes out of the CC. So when you queue up a dozer, it's building quicker now because the power plant's online when you build your first one initially. Right, so now I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to change my mind, click there.
Let's take a look.
Just click a few places. And dozer does a few twists. It does a little twist there on the way out. Actually, that came out quite efficiently. I'm going to show you a way to always get it out efficiently, though. You're going to press D again to build another dozer. Generally, you only ever want to be building 2 dozers in total. So the one you started with plus one other. I'm going to select it and then clear mines through there. Clear mine hotkey is L. Now, you see, it didn't do that little twist at the end then. In fact, it did no twists or anything. It went as quick as humanly possible, or 0-hourly possible, through the CC and gets you to your location. It can speed up your build order by a couple of seconds. You never really want to, like, start going in one direction and then change your mind and go in another direction, because your dozer can get stuck in the CC a lot. It can slow things down. Generally, I think escaping through there and escaping through the back is better than if you tend to go out of this area. Sometimes your dozer can get stuck there for a while. But as soon as it spawns, select it and click back through it, either with clear mines, which is L,
I will get rid of those mines,
or just by manually clicking it either that way or that way. You want to get it out of the CC as fast as possible. And then I've actually manually amended my hotkeys so I can press Z to sell my CC. I would always probably recommend selling your CC as China Vanilla, no matter pretty much what you're against. Unless you start with like a 1k crate like you do on some maps. The reason is you want to get that extra $1,000. Remember, you've got one of the weakest armies in the game. You want to get every advantage. You don't want to be sitting there as a passive player. If we just cover off some of the other hotkeys before we cover some basic build orders. We've got F for airfield. A nice easy one. I just remember the field part, F. Internet Center, I never really remember the hotkey for that, but it is I. It's also useful, but generally, you probably don't want to be making hackers against GLAs. Or pretty much try and steer away from making hackers in general. Of course, if you're playing free-for-alls, you can be making hackers all in the back of your base, because you know the game's going to go long. But in 1v1s, like let's say I was against the Tox, you want to steer away from making hackers, because for every dollar you're spending on hackers, the enemy's spending dollars on black markets, and black markets overall are better and harder to kill. They bring in more income than the hackers. And yeah, generally you end up throwing games. There are certain circumstances where you can still make an internet center, but generally don't want to be making it, especially against the GLAs. Or like Air Force, for example. You want to be closing out the game before it gets to those later stages, because sneak attack, anthrax bomb, all these kind of things are going to wreck China Vanilla heavily. Propaganda center, hotkey for that is P.
That's a good
Unlocks the ECM, Infernos. We cover support powers as well, which we'll cover in a second. You never want to get that one in the middle. You can get new cannons if you're on like a China Vanilla mirror, for example. They're very good. So if you get that, when you build the prop, it unlocks ECMs, Infernos, which are very good as well, by the way, and new cannons. and Overlords. Overlords for China, though, are very slow, not like Nuke where they are super quick. But pretty much everything that China Vanilla can make is of some use. It doesn't excel at one thing. It's kind of good at loads of things, but you have to kind of use them all very, very well with no mistakes in order to be effective. If you get Napalm, that's obviously very good as well. It upgrades your flamers and does significantly more damage, and also your MiGs are kind of cheap at $1,200, and if you get 4 of them, you can do a Firestorm. They build pretty quick, but they're very, very fragile. You always want to protect that if you are going to be making a airfield. And if you get mines as well, you get more mines for the bigger the building. So if you get mines on the CC, or if you get mines on the airfield, you're going to get a large covering of mines. So if you've got the cash later on, you can make mines. They're very, very good. And also, if you're against the GLA demolition or some kind of GLA in the beginning and you have a feeling this player is going to TNT you, which is a technical with 4 terrorists inside, then you can get mines on your Warfactory or one of your Warfactories from the beginning, wherever you think it's going to get TNT'd, and they are very good at stopping TNTs. The chain gun upgrade is also very good. Like I said before, everything is pretty good for China. That increases your damage from the chain guns, which is the GATs, by 25%. So especially if you're against Vs, like a good combo against Vs would be GATs and ECMs, and then supported with Napalm MiGs. And if you get the chain guns as well, then that's a really, really good combination for taking out Vs. Okay, so here we are back on the lobby. Now we're going to cover off a very basic build order, which is an oil grab and a bunker and 1 Warfactory, just to get us started. You can pretty much do this against any GLA or probably a USA, even a China nuke. It's a pretty much standard build order that you can do in quite a lot of circumstances. That's what we're going to cover. And we're also going to cover how you can build a dozer on the loading screen. So we're going to press D as soon as this countdown's finished. I'm going to press D here. And then I'm not pressing it again, but it's already queued up now inside of the game. So we're going to get the dozer out ASAP. Already selected the dozer. Pressed hotkey for R, building a power plant as close to the dozer as possible. As soon as this is ready, we're going to press L on the dozer to clear mines through the CC. You see it's doing no twists or anything. And then get a barracks as fast as possible. Then we're going to select the dozer, press U. Get a supply, try and get it with the perfect distance. You're just going to have to do that by experience. You just need to know naturally what the distance is. And then from here, we're going to get a tank hunter, red guard, and capture upgrade. And we're going to get a second truck on there by pressing T. We're going to press A for a Warfactory. And you can do it something like that. Tank hunter, we're going to get to go over to this right hand side. Red guards, we're going to get to go to any oils out on the map. Generally, there's always going to be 2 oils around. Some maps have no oils, but whenever there is, there's always going to be at least 1 and maybe an artillery platform out there, or in this case, it's a refinery as well. From here, depending on what you're against, we're going to pretend we're against the GLA, so I'm going to make a gap over to the left-hand side. Never want to have any idle time like I did there on that dozer. You always want it building something ASAP, but because I was explaining to you, it is a second behind.
Upgrade complete.
Then I'm going to queue up a flamer maybe to the middle. Say we're against the GLA, he's probably going to have these buildings occupied. This GAT's good for going around quickly. And let's say there's a tunnel building here. You can go straight to it very, very quick. Get the capture upgrade, get the capture. Extra truck there, and then get a bunker over here. So let's say even if you were against the nuke, a Battlemaster coming in here, or I don't know, an outpost coming in here, or even a V coming in here, or a technical, or a quad, or anything. 1 bunker, $400, and the $300 tank hunter. For $700, you've pretty much sealed that entrance off. Okay, not completely, but it's a real... Look how fast it builds as well. Go inside of there. Now, if there's a flamer coming from a China, you're always going to want to have 3 tank hunters in there, because 2, depending on how he micros it, if he goes straight up to your bunker, a flamer's going to probably win against the bunker. So you always generally want to have 3 in there if there's a flamer coming. But just having 1 from the beginning pretty much scares off the enemy a lot of the times. Another way of doing it, you could place the bunker over here instead. So if you're scared of like getting technical harassment, you'd have it there. You even get mines on there as well. If you've done it at the perfect distance, when you do the mines won't spawn under the trucks, because if the mines do spawn under the trucks are going to move around like crazy. You definitely will experience that at some point. And I mean, then from that point, let's say he denies one of the oils but you actually managed to keep hold of this one. You could then drop down a second Warfactory, keep making a mix of outposts and gats and flamers, depending on what you need to do. Flamer with the hotkey F to do a flame wall. And that build order there can generally get you off to a decent start. And don't be afraid to send out a dozer and try and expand if you know the area is covered. On this map in particular, you can easily get a dozer there and a dozer there and start collecting. So if you're ever in any doubt, outpost gat flamer, generally pretty good against a lot of things. You don't want to be making too many flamers if you are against a US, because missile defenders can laser lock them nice and easy. But you could, for example, if you're against the US or even a GLA or anything really, then start making napalm MiGs. If you're going MiGs, you generally always want to get napalm. There's no point using MiGs without the napalm, unless in the early game you're against the China infantry. 2 MiGs, even without the napalm, will wreck an outpost. But from here, you can see that's generally pretty good. If you're getting attacked on the left, you can move your army to the left. Always want to be producing from your 2 war factories. You can use the guard mode. One other tip is you can select a flamer, hold the Alt key. Select the flamer, click first, then hold the Alt key, and then you can path it like this. So you can path it all sneakily around the base. But then you've got to remember to go back to that later. So you can hotkey it. So you can control group, hold control, press number 5. And then when you're over here, double tap 5, you're going to go over to your flamer. You've got to remember it's there because there's no point waypointing it, but then forgetting about it. One thing that a player called Herb said once is if you're doing a TNT or you're doing a sneaky flamer like that and you tend to forget about it, what you can do is you can keep saying it to yourself. Flamer, flamer, flamer. So you're going back here, you're still controlling things, but you're still saying to yourself, flamer, flamer, flamer. More likely to then remember it. And then when you do get there, if you get inside of the enemy base, do a flame wall. Suddenly you've wrecked a supply, you've wrecked a propaganda center, you've wrecked a war factory, and you're at a huge, huge advantage. From there, you're probably going to have MiGs. Generally, as MiGs, you want to have them in control groups of 2. Because 2 will kill a lot. 2 with napalm will kill a gat. 2 with napalm will kill a flamer, an outpost, a truck, a dozer, a V, if it's not protected by Avengers. Kill a hell of a lot of things. Now, again, depending on what you're against, then you can mix in other stuff. Probably get another airfield or even a propaganda center. Start making ECMs. If you want to get new cannons, you can. In terms of the support powers, China becomes very good at level 3 when you've got carpet and artillery all of a sudden. You can shell shock a GLA. So the things that are good, carpet bomb is an absolute must. EMP, when you get to level 5, I would say that's an absolute must. Mines is good as well. But you can sometimes delay getting mines and get at least double. You want to get at least double artillery generally in any game, no matter what you're against. Triple artillery is very good. If you want to skip the mines, sometimes you can do that, but it's generally pretty good. All them things there, hugging on the left, are all really, really good. You never want to get this one. You never want to get the repair. Never really want to get the frenzy. You sometimes get cash hack. Obviously, if you steal 4K like that one, I probably would never get the 4K one, actually. 1 or 2 maybe. If you steal 1K, it's a difference of 2K because you're stealing 1K from the enemy, but plus 1K into your bank account. That's a difference of 2K, so it has more of an impact than just the initial 1K. What it says to your brain, 1K difference doesn't mean a lot, but it's actually double that because you're taking away and giving to yourself. You can get this if you're going to do some kind of rush against the USA. So that will make all of your guys inside of the troop quarter very, very strong against fire bases, EMPs, that kind of stuff. So if you know you're going to have to rush a USA, those ones are pretty good. Okay, so we're going to cover another build order now. We've changed map to Snowy Drought, but again, this could work on the previous map or a whole bunch of maps. We're going to cover 2 supplies and double war factory. This might be good in a China mirror against the tank. Could also work against the nuke. Could also work against the GLA. Probably want to do it less so against the USA, especially if you know he's going to have fully loaded Vs with decent micro, or he's going to all in you, which is 2 full Vs and an ambulance, otherwise known as a no eco. In this case, we're going to get this dozer all the way over here because this is the longest distance away. I'm going to sell my CC. I've got that on a hotkey, which is Z, but you can just press sell down here.
Building is complete. Let's build.
Never want the dozers standing around. We're going to press U for a supply.
Very good plan.
And again, try to get our
That's a good choice.
correct distance there so the trucks are not going to be moving. But this is just another good all-rounder.
A very good plan.
2 suppliers, double Warfactory.
Construction built to site.
So we're going to get a second truck on there by pressing T again, and on that one.
Let's pick up some.
I'm going to control group both my Warfactories, 1 and 2. Some players like Size and Excal though will put them on 0 and 9. It's up to you what you want to do.
Construction built to spec.
Cue a Flamer down the right hand side. A Sabre against the GLA, for example, again. On the left hand side, we're going to put a gap. And we're always just going to want to make sure that both of our Warfactories are always spamming at least something. So then we want to mix in maybe an outpost. On the left one, as soon as that's ready, we're going to press D for a Dragon Tank. Now, I like to hotkey these, or control group these 3 and then 4. So I can press 3, press 4, press 1, press 2. Always want to be queuing up some stuff. Never want them sat empty, not making anything. So we're going to get him in there. Control group 4. Now we're going to use the Alt key to path him in. Can probably just go straight to his oil and kill his oil. Or if you want to be greedy, go straight into his base. But back to base, make sure we're still producing. Remember what I said, gas and outpost generally a good thing against a load of things. So if you're against tunnels and quads, this is quite a good mix of units, which will be outposts, flamers, gats.
Everything ready here. Moving volatiles.
And that's pretty much the build order. From that point, you can either go over here and expand to a 3rd supply, or you can, what a lot of players do on this map, for example, they will build a prop. And then they'll get this dozer as close to the oil as possible.
There's not enough build space.
Sometimes even like Big Size will do it like here. As soon as that's ready, then get your Lotus out. Black Lotus obviously captures buildings, can steal cash, can disable vehicles. As soon as she's out, get that oil, and then you're onto a massive, massive boost. You can also do this build where you can do the supply there, but it's harder to get the perfect supply placement when you've got crates like that. It's much easier to get the perfect supply placement on a dock. As I say that, though, you can see all the tire tracks. I haven't got the perfect supply there. I've probably done it a little bit too close, although it doesn't look too close. Sometimes you'll see they're just moving around a lot, and then once they get themselves in a decent position, then all of a sudden they'll just settle down. It's kind of like a young couple. When they were young and single, they were wild, and then as soon as they settled down together, they're now no longer moving. So now the prop's ready. Now I can make a Black Lotus. Of course, I've been talking, but you want to always be making sure you're paying attention. This GAT could have, like, if it's a GLA, go over here. He's probably going to have a tunnel like here. So you might be able to go here, waypoint him, get in there and kill some workers. But you can do this build against a load of things. Obviously, if you're against a nuke or a tank, you're going to probably primarily be making the outposts and then later on ECMs. If you're against a USA, you're probably primarily going to be making maybe 1 troop crawler and then mostly GATs. The only time to make a vanilla Battlemaster would be against the tank when you think he's going to be aggressive and you need those Battlemasters to stop his flamers because they're going to be very, very strong. As soon as the Lotus is out, get her on a control group as well. I personally like 0. Or, hotkey for you is Control and H. Will take you to your hero unit. Works for Jarman and for Burton as well. Make sure she's not standing idle as well. Always want to be capturing your stuff, expanding fast. I mean, a high-level tip is when you've cleared an area, you want to try and expand to it as fast as possible. So then a good mix of units in general would be an outpost, a GAT, ECM. Get a CC, always try and hug the side of the map. The reason you want to try and hug the side of the map, or over on this side, hug the edge of the map, because let's say you're losing the game later on, there's like a bunch of quads in your base, it's killing your CC. If you fire a carpet bomb there when there's a load of quads there, the carpet bomb will come from wherever the CC is. So it would literally spawn from there, and the opponent would have little time to react. So you can often do a comeback by placing your CC against the edge of the map. One good upgrade, if you're going to get any speaker towers, always get the subliminal messaging. So even if you can have one overlord of the speaker tower, I would recommend getting that. And if you're going to be making helixes, you could get that as China Vanilla. Generally, I probably would not get it unless I got loads of cash, then you can. But tank hunters, when they're together as a 5, We'll get a horde bonus around them. We'll get a special symbol around them. And only when you get 5, then do you want to put it in the Helix, because they retain the horde bonus inside of the Helix. Okay, so jumping into another map, then we're going to cover Deduso, which is probably a very bad map for China Vanilla. If you're China Vanilla here against a GLA, or even a USA, or any other China, you're going to be at a disadvantage. I dislike the maps when the supplies are far away for China. It makes it really, really difficult. Like this supply and this supply is very, very far away. When the supplies are closer and you've got like some safe oils, China Vanilla gets a bit more of an advantage. But here it's pretty weak. So I'm going to cover an all-in build order here. Can work against any Chinas, like primarily probably a China Mirror would be pretty good here. Could probably maybe work against an infantry. Could it work against the tank? Maybe against the tank. We're going to go for an all-in build order. 1 supply, Warfactory Barracks. Going to move the dozer with clear the mines through there. And then we're going to do an airfield here. Rally a Helix to here, load it up here, and then attack into the enemy's base. Yeah, primarily like a China Mirror. But I think part of getting good at 0 hour is for me to show you the build orders, and then you to decide yourself through your own experience when to use them, when to work. So yeah, probably when to use the build orders, really. Probably more so in a China Vanilla Mirror, this would work best. You can do this on any map. You've got to kind of predict that the enemy's not going to be in the middle. And then we're going to... Oh, by the way, you press spacebar to go to the last notification that came up here. So press spacebar, it takes me to my last building that was completed, which is this one. We're going to press F to build an airfield, and we're going to try and box in our trucks just a little bit. And then from here, we're going to make 2 flamers initially. Queue up 2 flamers with D. And we're going to do a barracks back here like that with a rally point here. Got our Warfactory on control group 1, which is up here. I'm going to send that to wherever you think it's most likely to get in and do some damage. If it's a China Mirror, you're going to have a flamer here to take out the power. Power plant's going to be there, isn't it? Where the CC spawn, which on this map is here. So yeah, we've got a Helix queued up. Hotkey for Helix is X. And then as soon as we've got $300 in the bank, we're going to be queuing as many tank hunters up as possible, all the way up to 5. As soon as that power is gone, I'm just going to flame the war factories and flame the supplies. Helix is on the way. B for bunker. You want to get a bunker. This is an all-in, remember. So if you're getting harassed back here, most of the time you're probably going to want to ignore it. I'm going to get my Helix on a separate control group. In my case, I've got it on 5. And then by the time you know it, your enemy base is on fire, and they've got a Helix in their face. They're very, very hard hit and probably shaken. Yeah, I'll let you decide when to use this. If you're against the GLA, you might want to do your war factory somewhere else. Maybe you sneak it over here. If you're against the GLA, there's probably going to be a worker somewhere in the middle scouting. You could the build order still might work even if you do run into a worker. Like he'll be busy with the war factory, but then the Helix will come as a surprise. And yeah, but this is an all-in. Do not use this against the USA, probably especially against an Air Force, because one King Raptor will take out a Helix. You probably never really want to be going Helixes against an Air Force, but this is a really, really powerful all-in, and I'll let you decide when to use it. Primarily China, some kind of Chinas, and GLA. So whilst we're on the subject of all-ins and bad maps for Chinas, we might as well cover one more all-in, which is going to be a little bit the same, a little bit similar. We're going to select this Red Guard Veterancy this time, which is probably one of the best times to use it. Going to clear the mines through the CC. Sell the CC once the dozer's left.
We have building is complete. We will live in prosperity.
Get dozer, no idling. You want to get him straight over there. In the middle this time, this is for against the USA. Only USA. Going to get a barracks. Control group 2 for my barracks in this case. You don't have to use these hotkeys that I've been teaching you. You don't have to be clicking units of hotkeys. You don't have to be building buildings with hotkeys. But it will speed you up just a few seconds. 5 tank hunters, rally to one of these bunkers. War factory. You're still going to do a Helix. So you're still building all the same buildings as before. This time, we are doing it as if we're against the USA. So T is a tank hunter hotkey. But again, if you want to manually click it, it doesn't matter so much. I think with China, and with 0 hour in general actually,
Let's build.
The strategy and the things you're doing inside of the game matter more than just clicking hotkeys super fast. Clicking the hotkeys and whatever can save you a bit of time and make your build a little bit quicker.
China's rocket soldier. Build orders.
The main thing is the strategy. I press spacebar to go to this airfield. I'm going to press X to get a Helix over here. And we're going to push with these tank hunters. And ideally, you want this red guard with it as well. Probably a good idea to put retaliation on for this example.
They can't hide from me.
Which just means your units will always fight back. Keep these together as a death blob. Get rid of the tank hunter. And, sorry, get rid of the troop crawler. And just micro this and keep them on attack move and manually click units as they approach. If a V comes near or an ambulance, manually click it. Make sure that dies ASAP. Do not get run over. And by the time you know it, then you've got this Helix coming in. You have pressed C to get a Gatling cannon. You can back this up by any GATs on the ground if you've got the cash. And then you can use this army and this to kill Vs and missile defenders. You are going to probably mostly be against Vs and missile defenders. He could have also gone for flashbangs and missile defenders, in which case just try and overrun him. Try and get your red guards up the front, and then just spread your GATs around as well, trying to harass the Chinooks. But yeah, the idea is you kill all the missile defenders so the Helix can't go down, and then you can focus on the Vs. This can be stopped, but it's also a powerful all-in that sometimes if your enemy's not expecting it, it can overrun them. So it's kind of similar build order to before. You're still making Warfactory barracks up the front and Helix at the back, but this time you're getting a Gatling cannon on that. You're making a red guard from the troop crawler with the veterancy, 5 tank hunters, and then spamming some GATs as well. Most of the time that will kill a USA. Okay, so now jumped onto another map, and I'm going to show you another build order. This time I'm going to go for a Warfactory and a Helix. This could be good against China, could be good against Nuke, could be kind of good against Tank, although maybe not recommended. Could be good against GLA. This is another all-rounder, but not probably a USA.
That's a good start.
We're on a map this time called Eagle Eye, but on all of these maps, the theme is the same. You've always got 2 supplies. This has just got a little bit closer supplies than was seen on
We have big plans.
that Do So map.
Good choice. Construction is complete.
So we're doing Warfactory.
Let's pick up some
Building
goods.
is
Now, depending on the map, you might be able to box in your trucks. Looks like here I've got a bit of weird terrain though, so I'm not going to be able to do that here. Let's go for an outpost. This would be ideal against the Nuke, but can work against the GLAs too. So we're going to make a bunker here to try and seal it off. Again, you can adapt this to a bunch of maps.
China's rocket soldier. We will live in prosperity. We'll tear through their armor.
So if we're against the Nuke, we're going to probably primarily making outposts.
Let's build. Let's take a look. China will grow larger.
But if you're against GLA, you could probably make GATs, flamers.
In here. Storage tanks secured. I think I
Just
can
depending on what you're against. If you want to kill tanks, you want to be making outposts. If you want to kill quads, probably flamers and GATs are pretty good. If you're against the tank, could be making some battle masters.
Enemy tanks out there.
Option was as well, rather than that dozer building that airfield, I could have also built the airfield over here with the other dozer whilst it was sitting idle. And you can mess around with it as well. Let's say we didn't build that Warfactory there, we built it more over here. You could have then boxed in half boxed in those trucks there.
Try another.
Or we could have even fully boxed in these trucks by doing that
Next location.
and by doing that. So you can do whatever you want. So then you're going to be attacking with just a 1 Warfactory spam.
Let's build.
Can then expand as well.
Real nice when it's done.
And then you're going to have a Helix. So you've got like a half-ground army. And then you're going to be supported by Helix. And then behind that, you can be getting oils. On this map, there's an oil there. There's an artillery platform there. There's this. There's an oil there in the corner. Want to get 5 tank hunters together for the Helix. If it means leaving that bunker empty for a second or filling it up later, it can be good. And then you can be control grouping them on number 3.
gas valves.
Attacking around the side, taking these bunkers. It's always pretty good. and then get in the bunker on your Helix, ideally before it gets out on the map, otherwise you might lose it. But then that's just another build order. 2 supplies, Warfactory Barracks, get your bunker, like we kind of did in the first build order, but then you're adding in a Helix here as well. And then from that point, you're going to make the enemy really, really scared. You can even keep pumping out the Helixes as you get money. Hotkey for that is X. Get that fully loaded again. Or just get at least one guy in it. And then, yeah, sometimes, you know what? On these maps where you've got like a sneaky edge like this, you can even waypoint a red guard all the way down the side of the map and just pot look it. You might be able to get the enemy oil. They might not pay attention. They might not expect it. And then you can get a big army of Lixers. A massive army of Lixers against GLAs is one of the best ways to win against some of the top GLA players. Obviously, you want 2 trucks on every supply. But that's just another build order. Ideally, if that wasn't there, this bad terrain, what I was thinking about doing is that, and then my airfield would have been... Actually, you know what? I could have still done it. And then that would have been boxed, and I would have had a bunker. You see? I got a little bit scared by that part of the terrain. You have to adapt these builds as you see fit, depending on the terrain. But yeah, that's a Warfactory and a Helix build. Okay, so jump over to a different kind of map. This one's called Liquid Gold. It has an insane amount of oils on it, hence the name Liquid Gold. And the builder I'm going to show you is 1 supply, and we're going to go for double barracks and capture as many oils as possible. This map is obviously really good for it because it's got loads of oils, but you can also do this on Oil Rampage, where it also has loads of oils. You've got 7 safe oils on Oil Rampage on your side of the map, but Liquid Gold there. We're going to count, actually, and this is what I always recommend to you. Count how many oils and how many red guard you're going to need. So we've got this safe one in the back, and then we've got this one on the left, which is kind of safe. These are ones you're supposed to really get. You've got this one to contend with here in the middle, so that's 3 so far. Then you've got 2 on top of this hill, so that's 5 so far. And then you've got this one down in the bottom right, that's 6. So we want 6 red guard, which is nice, actually. A nice even number, because red guards build in 2. And that divides into 6, which is nice. So here in the game, we're always going to build a power first. And we're always going to build 1 dozer. Rarely, very rarely, do you want to be building a 3rd dozer. And very rarely do you want to be keeping your CC. So always just get in the habit of playing without the radar and without your CC and protecting your dozers. We're going to build a barracks. We're going to build another barracks. Doesn't matter where. Just build them as fast as possible. You can be doing this against anything. We're going to make a tank hunter and 3 red guards from that one. And then from this one, we're just going to make it a capture upgrade. Literally just that. We're going to put a tank hunter over here. Let's say we want to get inside of that building. Red guards over here. Extra truck with T. Warfactory. Put these red guards here. This red guard here. And there. Capture upgrade's nearly finished.
Upgrade.
Gonna repair that oil. You can also then sell that one if you want. And then from there make a flamer. I don't know, you can do this against all kinds of things.
People's Army. I like the big targets. We are the Red Guard.
You could do this against the GLA.
Ready for orders.
GLA is going to be making rebels singularly.
The People's Army.
Make sure you capture all of them. What you can do is also a bunker there, so if the technical does come to try and run that over,
Pressure level set. Keep it steady.
you can put him inside of there until the technical disappears. But don't underestimate the oils. You're only going 1 supply, which seems a bit weird. But as soon as you get them oils, you're going to be dropping down a second Warfactory.
Ready for orders.
And then also don't be afraid to contest for his oils as well. You can even just flame down his oils. Remember, this same build order can work.
Defenders of peace.
You see from there how much of a cash boost we've got? We've got both of them. And then try and get this refinery and that. But you see the advantage that China has. The red guard's building in 2s. And all of a sudden now we've got this massive cash boost. Now I can be dropping down MiGs, can be building a Gatling cannon, could be expanding over here. And you can see now the power of China. The red guard's building in 2s. On any oil maps, China has a bit more of an advantage because you can capture everything by just spamming a load of red guards with a double barracks build. And there you can see I've got loads of cash. Okay, 1 of them might get denied. 2 of them might get denied. Even 3 of them might get denied. But even if you get half of that, I still have a decent amount of cash there. And if you're ever in doubt, GATs and outposts, if you're then against the USA, you can just spam loads and loads of tank hunters. You've got this massive cash boost now. GATs and tank hunters, and then if there's loads of Vs out, then you can start going napalm and start making more and more airfields. Just drop down loads of airfields. You've got this big cash boost, and you can see China in that position is very, very good. I see China win quite a lot on the oil-heavy maps. So jumping into another map then, we're on Sand Scorpion. But again, this builder I'm about to show you can work against, work on loads of maps. And we're going to be going for a Helix and an oil cap.
Building the Chinese Empire. We will live in prosperity.
What can this work against? In this case, we're going to be making a loaded bunkerlix. So you probably don't want to be doing this against USAs. You can do it against other things. But if you were against USAs and you intended on going in this build order, you could still do it. But instead of the bunkerlix, you would probably make a Gatlix, which is when you make a Helix with the Gatling cannon on it. So yeah, if there's one oil out on the map, go and get that one oil and go and get a refinery or whatever. But if there is two oils like there is on this map, go for both. So in this case, we're going to be making the capture upgrade, and then we're going to go going for a fully loaded Helix. What could this be good against then? Especially Nuke would be good. China Vanilla could be good here. GLA could be good. Any of the GLAs?
Upgrade complete.
Probably not infantry. Don't really probably want to be going Helixes against infantry. But then you can see, by the time that Helix is finished, the tank hunters are all going to be ready. You want 5 as the magic number to get the horde bonus and to fill the Helix. And then you can have a hard-hitting unit out, which is the Helix. You can have maneuverability. Helixes are good over open water. And yeah, if you're able to, go out and expand. Then drop down a barracks, take some of these bunkers. But you can adapt all of these build orders to work on most maps where there's 2 supplies. If there's not 2 supplies, then you're going to need to do something probably different. Yeah, Helix is working especially well where there's open water.
We're going to ruin somebody's day.
Now, if you were against infantry, you probably would be making MiGs. And if you were against the USA, that would be empty and it would be a Gatlix. And then behind that, you'd be getting napalm out as fast as possible. Like a big tank hunter blob with getting the napalm upgrade and getting MiGs. That wins a lot out on this map, especially. But again, you can flex these and adapt these to specific maps. Okay, so final build order for this video. Now, if there's anything specifically I've missed, I think I've tried to cover everything in this video. But if there's anything that I've missed that's a burning question, let me know in the comments. If I need to make part 2 of a China Vanilla tutorial, then I will do it. But in this one here, we're going to go a little bit more aggressive. We're going to do a truck rush. So against the GLA, this could be good.
I build for China. Ah, yes.
So on this example, we're on Tournament Desert, the classic. Not TD Classic, but the original Tournament Desert for 0 hour, not the Generals one.
I am unable to build there.
And with this first truck, you are going to be looking for that first worker that's going to be building a tunnel out on the map somewhere. And then behind that, you're going to be making a Warfactory. Now, if you're feeling really confident, you can do a double truck rush.
Where do you want these? Is this a shortcut?
I probably wouldn't do that. Let's say you've killed his worker there, and then you're going to head straight over here to his second supply. Or if you think his main supply is going to be unprotected, you can go there. Going to be making a flamer now. Or a GAT. A GAT can be good here as well to deny the worker that will probably be reinforcing that. Going to be running over some workers over there.
We have big plans.
Going to be always trying to get the perfect supply placement, no matter what stage in the game. So the flamer comes out, start flaming down his tunnel. We're running over some workers over here.
We will move the goods.
Just keeping him busy. He's probably going to be making a technical as fast as possible to try and get over here. And then by that time, hopefully you've got enough units inside of his base. Flame down that, head over here, flame this, and go over here and try and get in his worker line using the Alt key. And then behind this, you could make a barracks here. When you've got enough, make an airfield here and start going into elixirs. Sometimes you can catch a GLA really off guard with that one. If you were against the USA, you could do a forward supply like that. Although I probably don't do it that often. And you could make a barracks if you've got buildings on the middle, like here, or on Deduso and some of the maps.
Unit
I'll
lost.
flame down my own truck. Then you wouldn't do a rush as such with a truck. You would never do that really against the USA. This is only good when you're running over workers. But if you were doing this front supply, you could just make a bunch of tank hunters. So you're collecting from the middle and you're sealing it off. And then behind that, you would go Warfactory and then into MiGs if you're against the USA. So yeah, I know that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but I tried to keep this video not too crazy long. I probably haven't covered every build order in the world, but that wasn't the idea. It's more to give you an introduction into what's good with China and what's not. But yeah, generally, China can do a lot of things, but it's not really got that one hard-hitting unit like Rock V's. You're going to be wanting to mix in loads of units, and everything's going to need to be executed absolutely perfectly. You're going to need a strong start, a strong mid, and a strong late game. And generally, you don't want to be going late game that much. You want to be closing it out in the mid to late game at least, or ideally with some kind of a rush. Internet Center in free-for-alls is good. You can fill it with hackers and you can get the upgrades, but in 1v1s, generally you want to steer away from super weapons in general, and you want to steer away from the Internet Center. There will be circumstances, 5 or 10% of your games, where you're going to be making those things, but generally, by making the other stuff against stronger players, it's going to win you more games than making loads of nukes and Internet Centers. If you make loads of nukes, it's not really good against GLA because the tunnels... the whole of the building just rebuilds. But one of the strongest points of China is when you get to level 3, carpet and artillery wiping out an entire base. Like if he's done a box supply there, wiping it out can be very, very powerful indeed. So yeah, I'll wrap it up there. GG, well played. Let me know if you've got any questions in the comments, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.
China.